do that. I do that.
I used to have to make fun of my friends because they had to get their eyebrows done, and I'm just like, not me.
I got it covered. Oh, man. Are you ready to roll?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Ben Humphrey, and this is my story in 7. So I grew up in Livermore, Kentucky, all of 20 minutes south of here from Owensboro. Basically, the day after my parents brought me home from the hospital, I was in church every time the doors were open. So whenever I was a kid, you know, it's like I was always the kid who knew the Bible stories. I could tell you how the animals got on the ark. You know, all about Samson and all that cool stuff. But it was just in my head for me until I was about 8 years old, and a couple of friends and I decided that we wanted to be baptized. We didn't really know what it meant, but we were like, yeah, that's cool, let's do that. So a few years go by. I'm growing up just with my friends and just around these other kids at school, and at some point, I think it was whenever I was about 11 years old, I was exposed to pornography for the first time, which started an addiction for me that lasted about 10 years. It affected me all through middle school and high school and even through college, up until I sought counseling just in the last couple of years. And it really affected my relationships with others and my relationship with Christ, most importantly. I did get saved whenever I was 16 years old after hearing my youth minister give his testimony, and I thought that maybe that would help and that it would be easier for me, that I'd be able to get rid of this addiction, but no, it was just as bad, if not worse, than ever. So that was really kind of a defining thing for me, but like I said, whenever I was 16, I got saved, and it was this overwhelming experience of knowing that there was someone who cared about me. I was listening to my youth minister give his testimony, and it's just, you know, you hear people talk about the little voice in their head, and I was like, that's crazy, but here I am telling you about the little voice in my head. I was just feeling really uncomfortable, just could not stop, and it's just like there was someone whispering in my ear that just said, you need to come home. And so I argued with this voice in my head for a good 5 minutes until finally I was just getting angry, and I said, look, if I just listen to you, will you leave me alone? And just as plain as day, I heard, no, I will never leave you alone. So needless to say, that kind of wrecked me, and I knew who I was in comparison to who Jesus was, and I knew exactly what he did for me and what I had to do in response, and I decided to start following Jesus. Like I said, my life didn't really get easier from that point. In fact, things seemed to be a little bit more difficult, just because if the devil can't get you and keep you, he's going to do everything he can to distract you. And so, like I said, I was still struggling with this addiction. It affected a lot of my relationships, and I was trying to be the good kid. I was trying to make sure I was looking like the good Christian kid, but I never seemed to be able to do it on my own. And so just as the years went by, that kind of weighed on me more and more and more, until this addiction kind of fed into a depression and anxiety. And I'm thankful that God brought people into my life who were there to help me through that. I see a counselor now who's been able to help me understand who I am, not just as a person, but as a person who God loved enough to give his only son for. And so now here I am, and I'm about to go back to school to get my master's degree so that I can teach more other people about that. And I'm really excited to do that, and I hope that as this continues on, that I will continue to follow where God's leading me, because without that, then I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do. So, my name is Ben Humphrey, and this is my story in 7.